You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Christian writer lays out biblical justification for rejecting Trump, based on an article by Nick Hilden. Loyalty is the real crime scene, not theology, power. The source tries to dress this up as a spiritual warning to Christians who back Trump, fine. But the political substance is simpler and uglier. A president who demands obedience, a loyal prosecutor who initially followed that script, and a bureaucracy that only corrects course once legal reality makes the original accusation untenable. Who actually held the lever? The decisive actor here is Donald Trump. He is the one who demanded the response, attacked his own U.S. attorney when she stopped serving his will, and treated public office like a loyalty machine. Janine Pirro is not the center of gravity. She is part of the machinery. Her first posture, then reversal, then dismissal of 4 vandalism cases shows what happens when enforcement is made to orbit presidential ego instead of law. The point was never the reflecting pool. The reflecting pool story matters because it shows how quickly a vandalism narrative can be inflated around a Trump vanity project worth nearly $16 million. The source says Pirro was adamant at first, then backed off when there was no legal standing. That is not a mystery. It is what happens when political theater outruns evidence and the paperwork finally catches up. Manufactured blame, real neglect. The cyber attack section shows the same pattern. Trump tried to pin the Minnesota water treatment attacks on a Democratic governor and the state's management, while the source says the FBI and EPA had already warned him about infrastructure threats. That is the whole game. Deflect upward responsibility into partisan scapegoating, then pretend the failure belongs to weaker actors. The deliberate choice to ignore warnings is the story. The governor is not the architect of federal inaction. Trump is. Christian cover for authoritarian discipline. The Christian writer quoted in the source is right about one thing. Trump's politics are about mastery, not service. But the deeper problem is not that some believers misread scripture. It is that a political movement has fused religious language, personal grievance, and state power into a hierarchy of obedience. When loyalty becomes the test, law becomes optional and corruption becomes a moral performance. The system beneath the story. This is not an isolated drama about a president with a big ego. It is a governing model. Centralize power, punish dissent, shift blame downward, and rely on allies to sanctify the damage after the fact. That model is anti-democratic at its core. It treats institutions as personal property, public servants as retainers, and citizens as spectators who are supposed to confuse domination for leadership. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Clara, thanks for listening.